everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Inside the Office. I'm your host, Caroline Conkle. We are inside the Hagar's Heart office today, and we are super excited to be here. I am joined by founder of Hagar's Heart, Jennifer Jones, and we're going to talk all things nonprofit, Hagar's Heart, and also what happens inside the office. All right, here we go. So let's start. Name, title, position, who are you? Tell us about yourself.
So I'm Jennifer Jones, founder and executive director of Hagar's Heart, which is funny because titles are part of why we exist, and I don't like titles, but you have to have them. And Hagar's Heart began in 2020 as a passion project, which in the last 5.5 years, I've learned so much, not only about my survivor story, but also about how it affects others, that the biggest focus, we focus on all help for domestic violence, but specifically for those who have been affected by verbal, emotional, and psychological abuse, because it doesn't leave scars that are visible. And so that is something that I've been told many, many times. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And so we are here to help those who need help, to know that they are seen and they are worthy and loved, and that anything and everything that came out of the abuser's mouth is not representative of who they truly are.
Right. So what is Hagar's Heart? What do you do? Tell us a little bit about the organization.
So it's been ever changing, but we started out in 2020, and actually let me backtrack. In 2019, I had left education, and I'm a teacher, just all the way from my head to my toes. It's in my bones, it's in my heart, and I didn't really know what I was going to do. And so I wanted to connect with women. And so I started a little group on Facebook, social media, where we connected and we did different things. Then when COVID happened, in May of 2020, I realized that the lockdown came and was coming, and that we started seeing news stories of victims or survivors, as we call them, were stuck with their abusers or their batterers. And it struck me because I became very anxious for them because they couldn't leave, they couldn't escape. And for my story, that's part of what is important, and I'll talk about that later. But I reached out on Facebook and I said, I know where women are, and said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to provide a Mother's Day brunch, and had people on social media said, we are not a nonprofit. Just come out of the woodworks to bring things and to bring joy to these women who were in shelter on Mother's Day. And I had a vision, and the vision was, we're going to take them brunch. We'll give them these boxes, which became the ICU box. And the children that were there with their moms in shelters, we're going to give them flowers. And that is really how Hagar's Heart and the ICU box came. What I love about that story and the time is that it was so uncertain, and I was still in a very uncertain place of what am I doing, that the children we had orange carnations. That was the only type of flower that we had. And it was really not the prettiest, but I think it didn't matter to the moms and it didn't matter to the children. They were giving their mom something, and the mom was receiving love and care from their child. So by the end of May 28th, we became a nonprofit with a fiscal sponsor. And this was going to be something that just needed me, that we would have volunteers come pick up things as long as COVID lasted off of my porch. They'd bring them back, and then I would deliver them. Fast forward to where we are now, and you've been there since 2021, and the growth is phenomenal.
It's been amazing. Yes, I would totally agree. So let's talk about the ICU box. What is it? It is the foundation of what we've done. It's, as you say, it's our flagship. It's kind of what people know us for. So what is it? Tell us a little bit about how we've also made it, for men as well.
Yeah. So the ICU box, 2026 is what I'm calling the year journey to 10,000. We started out in a shoebox, and it was just things that I thought would make others happy. being the teacher I am, I began to think what are tools that would be helpful when you're sitting there or when you're thinking, because I remember that a lot of my thinking or our minds in anything, regardless of if it's abuse or if it's made an F on a test, you lost a sport game, whatever, your mind can tear you apart. And so this box, the ICU box, became a box that is now called a box of hope or a box of dignity. It is what I see as the seed that we plant to restore our self-confidence, self-worth, and being able to start a new beginning. Because whether the survivor wanted it or not, their life has changed forever. And so we started out with 2 shelters, and we had delivered by the end of 2020 238. And fast forward to 2025, we are now partnering with 10 agencies, including 2 police departments that are local to us. And we are very, very close to 10,000 boxes this year. So this box is not a box of toiletries, but it is truly a box that when you open it, you smell the handmade soap. And so it's very sensory. There's chocolate, because I don't care what anybody says, chocolate should be a food group. But that is based on brain stuff, because the endorphins and all of the good chemicals in your brain, when you taste that chocolate or you smell that soap, it makes you connect something good at a time when something may be so bad. So everything in this box is what we use to hopefully plant the seed. And then we have our programs that they recognize who we are by when we come in. The one thing that I forgot is we have in there 2 things that are the most important to the survivors from what surveys we get back. It's our handwritten letter with 5 to 7 positives, and it's the handmade bracelet with the positive word on, that when they wear it, they are reminded that they are enough.
Mm-hmm. And then the men's has changed a little bit too, because, most of it is kind of feminine in its own way, but now we're making men's ICU boxes. Tell me more about that.
Right. And so we are lucky to partner with the Family Place. And one thing in all of this, as the journey for me has gone on to how can we be the best fit to help others that are working with those who are surviving from domestic violence. There are 2 shelters in the entire United States for men, and one is here in our backyard at the Family Place. The thing that's been very, very interesting is when we began Hagar's Heart, when I began it, it was 1 in 7 men, and that's changed. And specifically, it's changed in Texas alone. Right. The national average is 1 in 4 survivors, man or woman, will be affected by IPV or intimate partner violence in their lifetimes. In Texas, it's 1 in 3 Texans. And so I think we live in a world that believes it only happens to women. And while it is more women who are reporting and who are seen, and what the media tells us, men suffer in the same way. You don't have to have a fist to hurt someone. Weapons, words, that can also be done by a man or by a woman. And so our ICU boxes for men, if they come there, they are so brave. I mean, any survivor who comes there is brave, but because of the world and the society we live in, that is a very difficult thing to do. And so they get the same thing, of course, as you said, more for what men need. They have soap, handmade soap will always be part of it. They have earplugs, and we have a shaving kit. There will be a journal and a pen, because that's a brain base that get all your thoughts down, and they do a lot of journaling in the men's house. And so journaling with that and chocolate, and they also get a handwritten letter. So.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome to see that, how much we've grown, but also, what we're now kind of, moving into as an organization. So let's look back at 2025 now that I've said that.
I know.
What would be maybe a favorite memory or a standout moment of 2025 for you or for the nonprofit as a whole?
I think that's the blessing. There's too many. So I will just go through January to December. But of course, recognizing what we really needed to do with the men, having multiple interns from the School of Social Work and School of Public Health help us grow our statistics, understand where we were going, wanting to be partnered with by new shelters and having to say, or excuse me, agencies and having to say not yet. And so, too, with Carry the Joy, which is our biggest and our annual fundraiser, I think what blew me away is it started out as mostly my friends. Last year, I can say I probably knew about 25% of people in the room. So there are people who are coming to us to learn about us. They know what we're doing is good. They want to support us. It was our biggest one yet, where by the end of the following week, we made $73,000 that night, and we had $79,000 that next week. So biggest fundraiser yet. And all of that, I feel it may seem very easy for people to give money or do whatever, but when these women and these men receive these boxes, the biggest thing we hear is, I can't believe somebody out there, meaning not where I am, was thinking of me.
Yes.
And those dollars, the donations for the ICU boxes, because people love to shop, and we try to make things fun, because everything we give is something that if I didn't use it or wouldn't use it, or somebody in our office wouldn't use it, it's not going to these men and these women. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is a lot of what we're doing is unseen. But when we hear back and we see the tears and we see the surveys that come back saying, I can't believe it, that is 100% worth what we do. And from 2025, we're looking at piloting 2 different programs that speak also to self-confidence, self-worth, and building a life that is healthy. And that while these things are always going to be part of the past, the way you respond to them are going to be and can be very differently in the future.
Right. So for 2026, what are we looking forward to? What are we looking ahead at? What are some big things, big ticket items? That you're excited about?
We were able last year, because of the funds from Carry the Joy, to hire our first, besides me, full-time person in our Director of Community Impact, Erica Perry. And I think that's what has been maybe surprising to the people in the public, is that this organization has been run on volunteers and me being here full time. And then, as you know, being part of it's not a full-time, part-time job. It's a very, very part-time job. And to have that extra person is great, but we are still full on volunteers. So I'm excited to have Erica along with us to work on creating more relationships, because that's who we are. We need relationships. Going out into the community, I'm excited to strengthen the partnerships that I've already begun to grab in the last few years. I'm excited about having more opportunities to educate on what domestic violence is. Because I've tokened this phrase from one of our agency CEOs had shared it in something I watched, where it's more than a black eye. Domestic violence isn't going to be always what you see, and it comes in so many different forms. October is Domestic Violence Awareness. We will continue to have our movie screening, where we want people to come in to learn, and then to hear from the professionals on the other side to answer the age-old question of, why is it so hard to leave? And learning that it's not as easy with words to keep and hold. When it gets to the justice system, it's very difficult to hold that person accountable. So lots of different facts, lots of different shares. Carry the Joy is going to be super fun. But I love that people have it on their calendar because they know, and then that they're bringing people to come along with us. We have some new programs we're piloting. Don't know if I said that already. We have some new programs that we're piloting that they are very much in the infant stage. So I'm not sharing now, but hopefully your watchers on episode 2, 3, 4, 5 will come back, because we'll have more about that. But everything we will do will always go back to rebuilding the person who's experiencing the domestic violence. So.
Right. Absolutely. That has been the mission all along, and we're going to keep trucking. So this is the first episode of Inside the Office. I am again joined by Jennifer Jones, our wonderful founder. If you like this, please subscribe. If you want to know more about Hagar's Heart, you can visit our website at hagarsheart.org. That's HAGARSHEART.org. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.